All right, welcome back to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This series is dedicated to helping you improve your gameplay in Bannerlord, and we're trying to do so via the use of tactics, but I'm also including a few episodes on strategy and sort of kingdom control, maintaining and running your kingdom. This episode, we're going to focus a little bit on the side shows of battle, but this is important, right? You're not going to win big battles if your troops are not, are not hardy. If your lords that are running around with you are also just dismal idiots, and they don't have fiefs, you basically have to win some battles before the battle even starts, right? And that's what this episode hopefully is going to help you do. I know some people are sort of following the campaign I'm in. A broader picture, this campaign early on I decided was going to be against all the other kingdoms. So I'm sort of hemmed into this little upper area here. Originally I was a Sturgian, so they're still allied. I don't know if ally is the right word. I basically pay them money so they don't attack me, and they sort of hold that flank there, but everybody else is trying to kill me, and most of their kingdoms are larger than mine, right? When I go to the diplomacy page, like almost all of them, the strength of their army is the same or larger. In fact, I'm surprised they're larger than us. Nevertheless, as you can see from the casualties inflicted, we're still fucking up a lot of these kingdoms, mostly through the use of superior tactics, as I'm going to show you. The other side of tactics is the pre-battle side, and that's strategy, logistics, and kingdom management, and I'll talk about that at length today. So I did devastate the Southern Empire in the previous campaign. It's going to take them a long time probably before they are attacking me in force again, but the other kingdoms just readily soaked up their territory. The Western Empire expanded, the Northern Empire expanded. Now ironically there's a Northern Empire citadel in the very south of the map. So it's going to be continuous, and this campaign is a good illustration of I guess like the game on really hard mode, right? If you wanted to have a big challenge, this is how you would do it. So one of the things that's obvious is there's only one of you, right? And you're going to have your army at this stage of a battle. At this stage of a campaign. I'm very late campaign. The thing is that the AI, frankly, just does a dumpster fire job of a piss poor job of managing its armies. It will assemble an army, go siege a castle, 2 seconds from another larger army and get totally annihilated, and you'll lose all those troops and have a huge setback. So that's part of the game. You're going to have to kind of deal with that, but you can set them up for success on a greater level. You can effectively help your lords in three major ways. The first one is you can physically give them money. You can say, hey, here's some money. You can give it to them in one of the conversation screens. With more money, they'll be able to make larger armies. They'll be able to hire better troops, pay for those troops, etc. The second thing you can do is you can increase their influence. Showed this before. I'm not going to go into it in detail, but I can basically go to my clan page here and give this clan influence, right? They have plenty right now. They don't need it. That was just for example. The third thing you can do is you can give them fiefs, right? If they have castles, what that does is it gives them a garrison that they can pull troops from. It gives them money coming in, right? Because the cities make money. It gives them sort of a base where they can build their smaller army groups and then found larger armies from that base, right? So that's pretty important too. But here's the thing: you do not want to be giving fiefs to your vassals that are on the frontier of war. In this case, I did give this fief, but most of the time, what you want to do is you want to give them fiefs that are protected, right? You could look at my kingdom here and see that there's kind of a ring of protection around this citadel here, right? There's some 600 troops, right? It's a nice defensive troop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give that fief to one of my vassals that has a good amount of money, a good amount of nobles. I'm going to give Varcheg to this clan, right? They say thanks, they're happy. That now becomes their fief, and that garrison of some 300 men and the income coming from that is now that clan's. And that's important because they will now form smaller army groups, and eventually with enough influence they will form larger army groups, right? You're really going to need that for success. So in this particular episode, Obviously, I was saying before, there's only one of you, so you're generally going to be doing one thing at a time, right? You can't be attacking over here while you're defending way on the other side of the map. So how do you deal with that, right? I'm planning in this episode to come over here and I beg your pardon. We're planning on taking Bannerlord. We're going to take this citadel, and then we're going to reinforce it, fight back any enemies that might be in here. We might even go for another castle or two, depending on how successful it is. While that's going on, though, this whole area here in the southeast is totally vulnerable. So what do you do about that, right? You can't be down there. I already told you nobles act like dipshits a lot, and that's true. One of the things you need to make sure you do in that case is make sure your castles and cities are reinforced, right? You can see there's almost 700 defenders here at this castle. If you've been playing the game any length of time, you know that it's a very difficult thing to siege a castle with 700 or 800 people in it, especially for the artificial intelligence. They don't do a very good job. They will have to send a very large force to have any chance of this castle, and it'll still be very bloody and difficult for them. If these castles were poorly defended, well, they're gone, right? Because I'm not going to be able to go over here and take cities and castles here while this castle is taken down there. It's a net loss, or a net neutral effect at best for my kingdom, right? So you leave them defended like that, and that gives them a better chance of sustaining down here in this region. Here's the other little trick that a lot of players don't know about. Castles and cities get attacked by armies that are relative to the size of those castles and cities. So a better way of saying that would be a castle that has a huge garrison in it only will be attacked by a huge force. The artificial intelligence won't try to attack this castle of 700 defenders with like 900 defenders, because they can't do it. They will send at least 2,000 or 3,000. Well, the benefit of that is that if they have an army down here that's 1,000, that means they're not attacking at all. They're just it'll say they're on patrol, or they'll just wander around, or they'll look for more troops. If this has 400 in it, it's like it just has a sign that says "Siege me, please," and the enemy will readily come attack it, right? So if you know that, right, if you know that the artificial intelligence only attacks cities that it thinks it can successfully siege, you can actually have bait castles. This example for me, this castle gets sieged all the time, right? There's a total of 400 defenders there. It looks like there's actually a noble there right now as well. So this castle tends to get attacked a lot, and there's actually a benefit to that, because if you know what the enemy's going to do, well, then you can prepare for it. You can counter that, right? I'm heading in this direction now, quite frankly, because I expect this castle to be attacked, right? This city here has 800. It's more likely that this castle will be attacked than this city. But either way, I know that this castle is sort of dangling there like the carrot for the enemy. Meanwhile, down here, where there's 700 guys in these citadels and castles, 900 in that one, they're probably not going to attack unless they have a huge force. The other side of that is if they do have a huge enough force to actually attack this, it takes a long time for them to siege and assault this city, so long that I might be able to run from up here all the way down there and defend it before they can actually siege it down, right? So that's an important thing to consider when you're having, this is sort of a mini campaign, the military term for it, you know, when you would go into the enemy territory and try to take territory or have a war season, so to speak. War used to be seasonal. They never fought in the winter if they could avoid it. That would be called a campaign. So this little campaign is going to be little because I'm constantly having to move back and forth. I'm going in here. I'm going to defend or attack any troops that are in here, or any forces that are in here, and then try to take a city and or a castle. Here's the other component of that. You cannot just go in there and take a city and then leave 12 guys and a chef and a couple wenches at the bar and hope that city is going to stay in your control. You must put reinforcements in it. You must put defenders inside the garrison of that city, right? That's the same way that we have 600 guys in here and 500 guys in there. You know, we've physically put those troops there, right? Now, how are we going to do that, right? I've got my small army here of 400 of men I can control. The AI will put some guys in there, but not very many. So what I'm actually going to do, let's see, it's this gal. Let's talk to her. Yeah, you bet. You're mine to command. So this gal here, you can see her troops are almost exclusively Battanian Fiend type troops, and they're not particularly high level, but they're still going to be useful. What I will do is I will use all of these troops, just empty out her group, our army group, into that citadel once we take it. and that will provide a base of defense for that citadel. Actually, I think this one too. I can't remember if I did it or not. Let's see. Yes, so she also 200 troops, right? And she's a little over her limit, which is fine. She has 200 plus troops, and there's some good troops in here. I'll be able to use these two companions, use their armies, and just dump all their forces, all the surviving forces, into that citadel, right? So we come over here, we take this citadel, and then immediately there's 300 plus defenders inside, which will help it hold on for the long term. The other component of defense is the militia. The militia grows very slowly over time. Like if you hold it, your cursor over most castles, their militia is slowly growing, right? It'll say like +1, +2. Well, in the early stages of a castle, +2 on the militia there. In the early stages, when there aren't very many militia troops, there's a bell curve to how it recruits militia. So there'll be more recruitment of militia when there's hardly any troops there. That means when we take this city, right away it'll start just pouring militia into the defenses. But the key is we'll have those 300 plus defenders right away on the walls, so to speak, defending this city, right? So that's very key. I'm going to start actually heading in that direction here before I talk you to death. I mean, I recognize all I'm doing is talking. Well, I didn't even get the words out almost, and they're already sieging Dunglanis here. And what I just told you, that the defender size dictates how large the attacker is. That means there's a very large force here. From experience, I can tell you for sure there's 2,500 troops here, maybe more. There's almost for sure a large force there. Okay. So that's information we can use. Now, you see all these guys with the little boot? That means that these people are still coming to my army, right? It says 1,400, but if I go to my army page, it's actually almost 3,000, right? We have all these armies. They're all still coming to me. Now, there's a couple reasons I do that. The first is that they're just naturally further away. When I summon these nobles, they're out here doing their thing, running around, gathering troops. When you first summon them, they have this little boot. That means that they're en route. In fact, there's one of them coming to my army right now. That means they're coming to my army, but they're not here yet. Now, here's why that's important. First, I may need these troops. I may need them because there might be a lot of enemy in here. Like this might be a force that I need to wait for some of my nobles to catch up. 1,400 might not be enough, right? So that's the main advantage. That's the first advantage. The second advantage is speed. I'm going to pause it. Look at the party speed, that base number, plus 2.16. Now I had a whole nother episode on this. It's an episode, if you type into the search box under logistics, should come up. Your party speed reduces dramatically as your army gets bigger. And what I mean by that is not your individual army, the whole army. So right now we're 1,435. If this army was the full 3,000 that it's going to be eventually, if and when everybody all gathers up, that army will move much, much slower than this base speed of 2.16, right? That top number will decrease significantly, and that lower number, that total, will also decrease because of the army size. And so what that does is that makes you even slower to respond to threats in the frontier, right? I expect castles to be lit up here at some point or other. We're going to be attacked. If you can only be in one place at the same time, at least you got to move fast, right? You don't want to be slow. Like, speak of the devil, Ataconia Castle is already under siege, right? They're raiding one of the villages. They're sieging here. So I'm going to have to run back there at some point. But again, the speed part is critical. If you can avoid it, don't travel with these troops to your destination. Gather them all up like I'm doing, and then consolidate your army when you get there, right? That'll make you much, much faster. Okay, so one more thing to cover real quick, because I promised subscribers I would cover it. I did test the deserters function of it. If you're over your limit like I am right now, you will get deserters. It's periodic. It's like twice a day. The system triggers you to have deserters. That number of deserters is in relation to the size of your force. So if you're 200 or 300 troops over your limit, you will have a massive amount of deserters, right? It's basically like there's not enough horses or something for the nobles, and they all fucking take off to better places because they want, a horse and a nice tent or some shit like that. Here's the unfortunate thing. What I've learned is that the system used to dump your lowest level troops when it came to deserters. It now does sort of random deserters. That means you could be losing Battanian Fiend champions or other noble tier troops. I can't afford to be losing these guys. So in the future, you will see my army less and less over full. Holy shit. What the fuck? 10,000 Battanians. This is happening more and more when I am getting late in the campaign. It looks like they're having a fucking picnic at my fort here. That's at least 2,500. Anyways, just to finish that point, your deserters, unfortunately, looks like it comes out fairly randomly. The obvious negative part of that is that it means you're going to be losing potentially high-level troops. So if you're in a campaign where you can't afford that, try to run right at your maximum and not much more. I don't know how much this is, but I'm going to wait for at least one noble guy. I've got one other noble responding, it looks like. Oh, no. Don't tell me this is this fucking guy. It is. This fucking guy. You've heard me talk about him before. This fucking 4-foot-tall Oscar the Grouch. This guy basically loses every battle he fights. In this case, of course, he's not leading, but it's almost like having a cancer in our army group. He's 4 foot tall. He's got a terrible haircut. He's just a fucking idiot. His stats all suck, right? He throws a javelin worse than your grandmother does. And unfortunately, this guy is... If you could execute your own nobles, I would actually execute this guy and just get him out of my group. You know, I routinely see him running around the battlefield, and then all you see is his whole army group. Everybody's captured. He probably tells the enemy all our secrets. I mean, he's basically a worthless fuck. But unfortunately, in this case, that's the only noble I see close enough to help us with this big force. Let me upgrade some troops. There's one other thought that occurred to me. When an army is attacking a city like this, they, you know, as it's counting down, you can actually see the number. If you look at the defender number there, it's kind of hard to show you in real time. It says defenders down there kind of towards the bottom, 705 plus 25. As I move closer, that number is going down. See, now it's 700 plus 27. That means there's basically a battle underway right now. There's two stages of a siege, right? When you first start a siege, you got to ram and you're getting everything prepared. The second stage is the assault, right? So what's happening there is they're actively assaulting that citadel. Now, ordinarily you'd want to wait because those defenders do a pretty good job of weakening the enemy, and you can just wait until they're a lot weaker and then attack them. But in this case, I don't feel like I can wait. I always have fucking castles and cities under siege, and if I waited, I lose this castle. I have no chance of getting back there to help, and I just can't afford to do that in my campaign. That's why you oftentimes see me like 2 or 3 times outnumbered, right? I just have very little choice. Look at this bitch ain't even gonna help me. All right, so here we go. Yeah, you know, as typical, you know, we're massively outnumbered. We're just gonna fly into battle here. You know me, no guts, no glory. Unfortunately, even that we're outnumbered 2 to 1, but that also includes a bunch of dipshit militia, which are not going to be real helpful in a battle. There's probably a bunch of low-level troops in there too. Yeah, there are. This is going to be an extremely difficult battle. Sometimes I crush opponents when I'm outnumbered 2 to 1, but this is going to be far worse.
Under my command!
Actually, I need to do something here. I'm going to adjust my player damage to 50%. Most of the time I try running with 100%, but against such a large force, my character simply won't survive that long, and you'll be bored out of your fucking skull watching him bash his head, or watching the AI rather, just bash his head against the wall. It'll be a total fucking bore fest for you. So we're going to try to survive longer. We're going to try to show you some tactics here, and I wanted to reduce player damage a little bit just to show you that. Some people think that's cheese. Well, I don't give a fuck. Okay, so they have put us in an awful situation here. We are facing uphill against the enemy, and the enemy is not even 300 units away. This is a very difficult situation. I'm looking for high ground or some kind of way I can use this terrain to our advantage, and that's it, the edge of the map right there. So this might be our only chance here. We've got this little high zone elevated down there. We might be able to form sort of a modified kill box here. So I'm going to position my archers up here, and I think the 6th skirmisher is right along this line here, and then facing in a V format we will put the 1st infantry with the idea hopefully we can bring the enemy down into this vice and then clamp it upon them. I'll probably be using cavalry here to divert. Oh, I forgot to get the 8th Corps up on the hill there. And yeah, so we'll put the 3rd Cavalry here in a line. That should help divert. Holy shit, the enemy's already charging. These little, some of these little forayers of their main body of troops are just pouring in like chicken nuggets are on sale. So let's do some javelin work here. I've got the 2nd Cavalry following me. All I really want to do here is sort of hold the enemy up while my guys get into position. I mean, a lot of them just got to where they need to be. So not trying to do actually really heavy combat here. I mean, that's like 300 plus infantry. Just want to get in here and kind of slow things down, right? Give them a distraction while our guys get into position. So what I'm planning on doing is effectively collapsing these 2 cavalry corps on this infantry. God, these guys are already pushing in with a hail of darts. You can see the arrows firing down from my 6th Corps and both archer divisions. And we should be able to clamp this vice on this huge assault. God, it's a lot though. The 2nd Cavalry's in here just kind of to delay them. What the fuck? I see enemies coming up through the... So I have a back door here. This is even more problematic. It's bad enough having this position, but it's not even that secure. Alright, I gotta get my 2nd Cavalry up here. Let's just provide like a block, almost like an iron door up there, at least to slow down the tide of troops coming from there. Holy shit, their infantry's already pushing in. Alright, we got to attack with the 6th Corps here. 8th Corps is going to be involved. Look how thick they are. Well, the good news though is, again, we're raining arrows downhill though. Kill this noble. And I'm going to do some javelin work. I got a nice little pocket here. I can just sit in and do some javelin work. The 1st Corps is holding there. Look at all the fucking... They're throwing weapons too, right into our 6th, but we're raining downhill. So they're throwing uphill, which is means it's going slower. We're going to be doing more damage. We're suffering some losses here, but I think this is a good spot. Effectively cutting off their archers. I don't think their archers are going to be able to get in here and actually support their infantry. So it's time to move in here for the kill. I've got the 6th attacking. 1st Corps is over there attacking. They're getting wiped out. That's alright though, as long as I can keep most of these archers alive. I got to do some axe work in here. This kind of battle, you know, you can't just sit back and command the whole time. I wish that were the case, but in this case, against so many enemies in a fucked situation. They kind of look like they're wavering. They had a little bit of a check back there. Oh, that's a fucking lot right there. And I'm right in the thick of it. Gotta get out of here. Yeah, have a javelin. 260 damage and that guy lived. So these troops are like seriously augmented too by the power of their nobles. Still, I see mostly green death spam. I want a shield. Down you go. That wave dissolved. I still see my 3rd Cavalry's there. Let's get a shield and some more javelins. This is going to be a long fight, of course. Yeah, and I can see a line out there. That's probably their archers. So we don't need to push forward here. This is a situation where I want to keep my troops back. I've got to be aware of that back door up on top of the hill. That's a major problem with this defensive spot. We'll see if the enemy tries to exploit that. But in the short term, that was an outstanding result against so many very tough infantry. Looks like the archers are skirmishing over the top of the mountain. That's fine. Maybe I might be able to use cavalry and augment that. Make sure I didn't drop my axe here. A lot of times in battles where I pick up gear, I end up leaving my trusty axe on the ground. Okay, we're good. We got a shield. We got some javelins. Let's pull these guys back. They're getting shot. Yeah, see, I don't want them going forward like that. Get back here. So this edge here, that's going to be sort of a threshold of death. I don't want my guys passing that. Look at the archers out there. There's just a huge long line. I don't want my guys passing that, and I sure as hell am not going to let the enemy get in there and attack our archers on this wall. So we're just going to hold this position here. Yeah, I'm going to try to conserve some ammunition too. I think we'll do okay with this archery duel. They got a big long line there. Maybe I can get, if I can get my 3rd Cavalry into a line here, we can do a little shield blocking. You've seen me do this before, right? You just take your cavalry and a shield block. It's F2 for the command for that shield wall, and they're going to absorb a lot of those arrows. I'd rather have the horses and shields being shot than my archers. My archers are paramount to this battle strategy here. Yeah, I see them getting rained on still by archers. A little lull in the battle. I would assume the enemy is trying to figure out their next approach. I got a hunch that they're going to be sending attacks up of both of this back slope and in the front. Yeah, I see cavalry out there in the distance. What the fuck? I got troops sneaking through. They're just like running through these guys. Yeah, not a great decision by them, but that just shows you that the enemy's right on the other side of this ridge. I like it when they come in two at a time. Come on. They're just ignoring my cavalry too. Well, the main job of that cavalry up there is just to prevent lots of enemy cavalry being able to pour through, right? You've been on a horse before. You know that you can't just run through other horses, right? And so it's kind of acting like a wall there. Some cavalry's coming in from the bottom here. This is almost going to be like a siege battle where I'm going to have to fight both the top and the bottom. I'm going to kind of have to go back and forth, supporting and commanding my troops. Cut down this cavalry here. This bottom, though, is a death trap for the enemy. If they come in this bottom zone, wipe out your camel there, dude. If I can get them to come in this bottom, they're just going to get absolutely torn to shreds by archers and javelins. Now, my first infantry looks like it's decimated. I don't see, if there are a few guys left, it's not very many. Yeah, we can kill these guys one at a time. I mean, we've got archer support. They're still pounding my cavalry. Look at all the shields. They look like porcupines. But they're not killing very many, right? They are coming up here to the top, though. So basically, I'm going to have to go back and forth between these two commanding troops and trying to assist the location that looks like it's taking the heaviest assault. The enemy is clearly going to be attacking both the top here and the bottom. I don't know if that's the best strategy for them, but that's at least the strategy they seem to be taking. Let's take these horse archers out. Have a right pinned up against the edge of the map here. They got a bunch of horse archers. I wonder if there's yet another access for them back there where horse archers can circle on us. The good news, though, is that they can't circle completely behind us because we are at the edge of the map. Alright, the bottom seems secure. Let's move. We have one guy of the 1st Infantry, 6th of the, or 10, 11 of the 6th. That's good. So those are also strong infantry. Those are our javelin throwers. We're going to position the 1st and 6th Infantry up here to kind of act as a, like an emergency response crew if the enemy starts to mount attacks there. I see, I think those are my reinforcements way off in the distance. I can't tell if they're being attacked. I'm not entirely sure where the enemy is right now, other than they're coming up this ridge, right? It must be just a line of them coming up this ridge. Fuck you. God, Botanium Fiend champions are nasty. Oh, what a savage fucking cavalry charge that was. They got a little payback there. Let's get our cavalry up here. Yeah, okay, so I definitely have infantry reinforcements that are coming in the bottom. At least they're putting our reinforcements reasonably close to us. Sometimes they'll stick your reinforcements on the other side of the map, and if you're not paying attention to them, they'll just get massacred without you having any say in it. So still mostly green death spam. I've got, that's my one person of the 1st Infantry up there. Looks like a two-handed axeman. Look at all the arrows flying over that ridge, right? So we do not want to go over that ridge. We would be in the exact same spot the enemy would be in here if we were over that ridge, right? Just a murderous unleashing of darts and arrows. Still kind of trickling in here. Manageable though. Like, as long as they don't attack in huge waves, I think we might be able to hold this the whole fight. It's almost like a castle siege. We've just decided, you know, that we're going to defend this little pocket along the wall here. Okay, here comes the besom push. Let's bring the infantry down, and that way we can attack this. I can have them distract and fly into my axe. Even 7-8 guys should do pretty well. This looks like 10-20 guys. I think we can beat this off. Yeah, made quick work of them. So I've got these elite units with me, the 6th And I got a few members of the 8th Corps just following me right now. And we're going to be almost acting like a Delta 6 team. Yeah, see another invasion of troops coming in up here. Okay, let's push the cavalry into them here and move in with the 6th and 8th. I think between those two forces, we can probably beat this attack off. Most of their vanguard looks like it's dead. I don't see a whole lot of highest level troops. I see some high level troops, but not just a wave of high level troops. I think we decimated that in that first assault. I mean, we did suffer serious losses to our elite troops too, but we still have some members of the 6th and 8th Corps here, and they happily will chew on these tier 4, tier 5 units. So I'm going to keep pulling them back. Each time they kind of charge, I'm going to manually pull these guys back. See, you have to understand in battles like this, folks, if you have your units charge here and you're not micromanaging, they will simply charge over that ridge and get shot to ribbons, right? They will be killed. They will be annihilated in 30 seconds. And once they're dead, then the enemy will charge up this ridge behind us, and you'll be in a world of hurt. So we're staying static. As long as the enemy is attacking us and we have this defensive position, I'm not moving. We may make a few forays over that ridge, but only when it's clear we have the advantage. All right, another big wave of cavalry. Let's get this infantry reinforcement block up there. It's pretty obvious at this stage that most of the attacks are going to come from the top. I mean, that can change. But just based on the flow of this battle so far, it does look like this top area is where they're trying to exploit. And see, they're starting to get archers up there. I got to get infantry in their face when they have archers up there, because then they become the ones that are shooting down, right? I've got to get up there and deal with these troops, right? So first infantry in tow. That's the reinforcements, sending them into attack. There's some elite units in there. I see some tier 5s. And behead that guy. And we're going to assist them. 6th infantry behind me still, right? So I've got elite support. And we're just going to mow through these beheading guys left and right. Yeah, see, these guys shooting arrows. When guys are shooting arrows, you want to get right in their face. You don't want to take the arrow, but you want to get in their face, cause them to pull out their melee weapon. Most archers do much more damage when they're shooting than when they're swinging their two-handed weapon. Now, we are suffering some losses up here. Let's get the archers up there as well. I'm going to have to start getting a little bit more reinforcements on the... Oh, that's what's happening. We're getting hit on both sides. Well, this is what happens when you're so outnumbered. We are being attacked in both different zones. So it's a little bit of a chaotic scrum right now. And we're still racking up some good kills, beheading every third guy I swing my axe at. But I've got to get these guys off this edge here. If they're in the face of my archers, it's not gonna. The plan's not gonna work. Fuck off. Let's get some units down here. I'm using the F1, F2 command, right? That's for follow. You'll see me doing that regularly because a lot of times that's easier than positioning. If you're moving around in battle a lot, you don't want to be using the pointer to set your guys. You want to use F1, F2. That tells them exactly where they're supposed to go. Look at these reinforcements just trucked those guys. They were charging up the hill and all of a sudden 70, 80 reinforcements just barreled in behind them. That works. They're starting to get overwhelmed on the top though. This top is a major problem. If the enemy starts getting a toehold up there, we're going to have an all-out attack to regain it. If they're the ones that are shooting down on us, you see their archers there on that ridge. Let's get some infantry up there. Let's get some cavalry up there. Let's try to retake this ridge. I still see troops coming over to that left ridge too. They must have some access over here. Let's see what we got here. Yep, they have full access over the side of this mountain. So let's jam it up, right? Anytime again that you're trying to hold a position like this, whether it's in a keep or a unique battle like this. Like this is one of the most unique battles I've had in a while. I'm going to bring infantry and cavalry up here. I'm going to bring the 8th. The 8th is now mostly archers. There are some elite units still in that were part of the original 8th. The reinforcement group added to it. Here come their forces. You can see there's still swarms of the enemy. And look, they are. They're coming. They're sort of splitting off into two different branches and attacking both sides of this. So what we're going to effectively have to do is try to have a combined defense. Get out of here. I don't want any of this. So what we're basically going to try to do is spread the archers out between these two different locations, and then keep strong, or at least decent-sized contingents at both forces. In this case, we'll use the 6th Corps. That bottom one, we'll probably end up using the 1st Corps. It looks like the 6th Corps only has one guy in it, so we'll use the 8th up here, and then the 1st Corps at the bottom. Yeah, we're having some archer play up here. Basically, though, we're going to have forces that are able to charge at both locations, right? Because if the enemy starts making headway in one or the other, then we're going to get pinned. And we can't afford that. Our reinforcements will get cut off. We're going to wipe these cavalry out. But we're going to have to bounce back and forth between these two as crises emerge. Kicking downhill does not work very well. If you see me charging units and having them follow me, that's because I'm going to be at the point of crisis here at the top of this hill. Okay, the top is pretty secure. Let's take a look at the bottom here. We're getting these little respites in between carnage. Look at all the bodies sliding down. It reminds me of the Titanic, where all the poor people on the boat were sliding to the bottom as it was tilted on end, starting to sink. Right, let's do some work in here again. Having the 6th and 8th Corps again follow me, and we're just going to barrel in here. Sometimes when the enemy's thick like this with archers, you just tear right in. You know, I mean, you can take a lot of damage, but you can also do some serious damage to the enemy. And those archers shooting, they're doing way more damage than once you're in their face, right? These guys are all suddenly pulling out their swords. They're getting some hits on me, right? But we're doing a lot of damage to them, and we're also, importantly, they're not shooting at my troops. Where the fuck are those units that I called to follow me? What are they, on a fucking union break? Get your asses down here. I must have fat-fingered a command. You know, you're going to do that sometimes, where you think you made a command, and then 10 seconds later, nothing's happening, here they come. Yeah, charge, recharge. Let's completely seal off this dike here. Yeah, right up into these archers. That guy about to shoot, don't let him shoot. Just fly right in their face, even if you get attacked. Now in this case, you know, of course, I might end up not getting knocked unconscious, and that'd be a very bad result, both for the battle and for my army. But sometimes you gotta be risky in a battle like this. Oh, this is beautiful, man. These archers here are just piled up. There's like 15, 20 guys here, and here come like 50 reinforcements just gonna truck these guys. See you in hell as he knocks the guy's head off. Dodging, you gotta always be alert of dodging skirmishers. They'll hold that position while they're aiming at you. When they're doing that, I'm beheading like every third person again. When they're doing that, you want to be weaving. You don't want to be, well, I'm trying to punch this guy. You don't want to be weaving around. Holy shit, there's tons of red death spam. They must be overwhelming us at the top. That seemed like the major attack down there, but obviously things are going bad somewhere. Let's send our reinforcements back to the top. I've had many sieges that felt exactly like this, where you just kind of go from one crisis to the other trying to hold back the tide. I mean, again, we're outnumbered 2-1, right? So the enemy's just going to be continually pouring over in much larger numbers than us. The only way we're going to win this battle is with superior tactics and forcing them over that ridge where we can concentrate firepower. Yeah, they got a row of archers right there. It's exactly what was happening. So whip this shield out and let's get some infantry in there. They got cavalry up here. Fuck you. Oh, that's my own guy. I didn't mean it, buddy. Alright. Let's move in and cut this breach off. I'm already at like an 8th health. So we gotta be a little bit careful here, but sometimes I just can't help myself. Here goes nothing. Okay. I'm feeling a lot better about the top. Let's get some infantry moved down here. I'm going to proactively counterattack their punching this time. We're gonna effectively place guys down there in shield wall, ready for the next wave. As long as I have this archer group up here at the top, and as long as they're shooting, they may run out of ammunition eventually, but as long as they're shooting, I should be able to deter the enemy from really gaining a foothold in either locations. This little backdoor area has been a cancer this battle. Let's get that cavalry wedged right in there. There's no doubt things though are going better than I expected. It seemed at the beginning that we were in a hopeless situation, downhill, facing a much larger enemy assault, and hardly any time to prepare. Once we got established here though, this entire battle momentum has changed. Okay, the top ridge is secure. With the enemy losses as severe as they are, there's always a chance that they end up fleeing. You know, you'll see that in really large battles, or if you're in battles where the enemy was maybe favored to win, thought they were going to win, and suddenly you're just massacring large amounts of their troops. That horse was having a grand mal seizure. You'll be in situations where the enemy effectively says, "Fuck this, we've seen enough of the meat grinder. We're done, we're out of here." Now, if they have high-level lords like this, they'll keep coming. But sometimes they will just flee, even when they have 400 or 500 troops left, or more. Okay, I see more reinforcements coming. What I don't want to do is I don't want to pull them up the same hill the enemy's attacking. So I'm going to set them lower here. We're kind of triangulating their approach to us, if that makes sense. These reinforcements are coming in off to the side, and if I just did F1, F2 to me, right, they might try to come up the hill, be cut off by the enemy, and wiped out. Holy shit, enemies poured in the top here. Alright, this is a major problem. Gonna have to send units up there in a hurry. I've got these reinforcements, let's get them up there. This battle is hardly won. I've got to continue to cut off their momentum. Keep the momentum on our side. God, they're thick in here. And all these guys in here, what they're doing is they're killing archers and they're stopping them from shooting. The bottom seems secure. This top area is the crisis. 6 guys attacking that one gal. Alright, we're starting to gain on the breach. Starting to close it off. Let's fly in here and see if we can't work on some of these archers. You see I'm manually setting troops to go there, right? Sometimes when your troops aren't quite where you want them to be, you gotta physically send them there, right? Use those pointer commands. F1 and F3 aren't always gonna get you what you want, right? There we go. Look at how quickly they sealed that whole breach. Let's get archers spread out here. All these archers are effectively snipers, killing anybody at the point of entry. Any of the enemy gets through, I can't even tell who the enemy is and who's not. I use sort of the dimmed out little highlighter above enemy or allied troops. I do that because when it's really bright, I just find it obnoxious. It totally destroys from the immersion of the game. So you'll notice a lot of times I have sort of this very thin halo above my allies. Another wave crushed. God, there's just another huge wave of troops coming. Alright, well, as long as we can keep this meat grinder going, I think this battle ultimately is going to be successful. As long as I don't have a huge unexpected breach somewhere, you'll have a battle where you think you're winning like this, and all of a sudden you have a breach or some kind of disastrous attack, and then the battle is lost. As long as I can be patient here, not panic, let the enemy come to me, try to preserve my little last bit of health, I think this battle should be ours. Now, in real life, the enemy should not be attacking here, right? Like any realistic human commander would realize they have to change strategy. I mean, there's idiots out there, right? Some idiots. Look at these archers are not in the best spot. I guess they'll be able to shoot at the horse archers on the other side. You get some people who would they would continue to come up this hill. Not recommended though. Like, look, as soon as they come over, they're shot by 15 arrows, right? That guy's going to get torn to ribbons. I don't really want my infantry, though, pulling over that ridge. Because when my guys pull over the ridge, they're the ones that are going to get shot. Right? I see them getting mowed down over there. I can't see them, but I bet there's just a huge line of the enemy right at the other side of this hill. We're about to have another major collision here. Yeah, here they come. Let's let them come a little bit, and then we'll bring the thunder. I actually want them to come a little bit over the hill so that they're taking arrows and that we can come up and really impact them. And in we go. I gotta watch out for projectiles. I'm one javelin away from being knocked unconscious. This is one of those situations that's hard for me, but I gotta let my troops just do their work. Right? I've got a nice strong line of infantry totally blockading the enemy, and instead of being on the front lines getting hit in the face with a sickle, I should be exactly where I am right now. Just sitting back, taking care of any guys who sneak through, but letting my troops work. They're almost a little bit too far. At some point or other they might be like pushing over into the enemy archers, but this looks like mostly infantry. I see just a huge line of spears with the enemy. And here I go again. I just can't help but be aggressive. It's in my nature, folks. I'm a warrior first and a commander second. I see those are more reinforcements. So it's awkward, but I kind of need to get those reinforcements down to the base of this hill at the same time as attacking. It does look like they're coming this way, though. Instead of coming up the disastrous back way, which would be basically totally submerged and surrounded by the enemy, they are at least coming around the corner here. These are low-level reinforcements, though. We've definitely suffered a lot of losses. I mean, these are level 1, level 2 troops now. Even though we're winning this battle, the enemy is just relentless. There's still a chance we lose this battle. That's one of the things I love about suspenseful battles like this. I'm never ever sure if I'm going to win or not. You've seen me share losses on the channel before. This could still end up being one. I think, though, as long as we keep this meat grinder spot up here and force the enemy to come over this ridge, good things are going to happen. Fly in here, interrupt some of these shooting guys. These guys are really no match for my axe speed. They can block a shot, but the next very shot rips their leg off. You can see in slow motion, you can see our bolts flying at them. Holy shit, there's another huge horde of enemy coming. When are they going to run out of troops? Die. Take your horse, sir. Thank you. Ah, interesting. They are changing strategy. It looks like they're coming around to this southern one. They're either running or they're changing strategy. Let's get troops lined up down here. We'll have the first infantry in a big wall, and we'll get our archers spread. I can't tell if they're all just coming for this southern attack. Sometimes reconnaissance is your best job as the commander. No, these guys are fleeing. I think they've finally had enough of the meat grinder. Although these guys are pulling back. Sometimes the enemy will waver in between fleeing and attacking you. I mean, they're shooting me with arrows. Enemies that are running do not shoot. I gotta watch this one lancer out here. Let's encourage them to run. This would be devastating to most armies. Just fly in. A horse flies in and beheads 3 of your friends. Let's aggressively advance, too. If there's some chance that they're going to stop and try to fight, I want to have my troops in position and ready, and I also really want to... There we go. Enemies are fleeing. Well, that was quite a slugfest. Did they just change direction on me? You'll see bugs sometimes where the enemy is fleeing. Like, those guys are definitely fleeing. They're 500 units away, but somebody's shooting our arrows at us. Yeah, you'll see scenarios, though, where you win, and I mean, the enemy's left the stage over there. They're running off here in this direction to the right. Look at this guy here. No survivors, dude. There's still a Botanian Fiend champ this long. God, that guy must have sniped like 50 guys. Anyways, this was a good result for us. I didn't expect there to be quite that many attacking on this castle. But now that it's defended, we'll be able to head over to that other keep and give it a good siege. We wiped out a couple of their nobles too. Considering what a shitty position they put us in at the beginning of this scenario, that's a good use. It's a good example of a combination of tactics, micromanagement of troops, being aware of where the threats are, and also adapting to your terrain to dominate the enemy. I mean, we're outnumbered 2 to 1. I've got just as many low-level troops in my forces as they do. I mean, the guys of the survivors here, these are mostly tier 1 and tier 2 troops. But look at this guy. Yeah, you're going down, dude. But we effectively outlasted them. So thanks for watching. I appreciate all the compliments, all the comments, even the criticism, right? I'm still learning. I'm still improving. I'm not averse to critiques if that's what you want to do. Please subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you folks next time.